We'll get started. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjali Shalakaya Chakshurum Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande aham Shri Guruhu Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagara Jatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Is my slide visible? Hare Krishna.
Yes, it's visible.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So this is the 17th chapter, the last chapter, section of Jnana, and this is the second last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And in this chapter, the Bhagavan is going to reveal further questions, answering further questions of Arjuna, where he clarifies a lot of things about the kind of foods, the kind of austerities, the kind of, all kind of abhyasas or habits that we kind of inculcate in the various gunas. And he also talks about, the various forms of charity that the people in different types of gunas undertake. And then he finally says, anything and everything is finally, it all rests back on the Supreme Personality, and that he is that supreme vibration called Om, which is responsible for all the creation that happens from time to time. And that he is the end of everything. At the end of the day, all the things that we do rests on him. It comes from him, it rests on him, and ultimately it gets back to him. So he is the ultimate abode for everyone. And at the same time, we need to see how is it that we can reach his abode and not the abodes that will kind of make us come back to this material world. Okay. So this is called Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, or the divisions of faith. Okay. So let's see what it has. It's very simple. It's a very, very nice chapter. It fundamentally, kind of emphasizes that every action of ours, has a cause, and the cause is all our own habits and as well as our own thoughts. It's the thoughts and the habits that we cultivate which are ultimately responsible for all kinds of action that we engage. Okay, so the chapter will look like this. The chapter starts with Arjuna's inquiry about unauthorized worship that are not really meant to be done, or something that is not going to fetch us good results. And then Lord Krishna says everything, has to do with the three modes of material nature. Everything has to do with the way we are composed of. And then he's also going to talk about the food in three modes. Think about it. I mean, how great our scriptures are. It talks about everything right from what the tattva of concept of life is, and it takes you through every aspect that that we get aspected, and as well as things that we can contemplate and think about and see how can we modify and also engage in activities that will give us that positive charge which is much needed to lead that extraordinary life. So he's going to talk in about 3 verses the foods that impact the way we behave, and also our behavior or or the kind of impressions that we have, the vasanas that we carry, and also the habits that we cultivate, also has a bearing on the kind of foods that we will tend towards. Then he's going to talk about 3 kinds of austerity. Austerity means the disciplines that different kinds of people, that these 3 gunas will lead to. Then he's also going to talk about the charity in the 3 modes. And then finally, he talks about himself, and that everything is ultimately rests upon him. He's the abode for everything, and he is absolutely the person who is responsible for everything and also provides us with everything, and as well as anything and everything we do, the ultimate beneficiary is the Lord. Okay, so let's look at this. So Arjuna asks, "Oh Krishna," is there any background noise coming from my side? Hare Krishna.
No, Mataji.
No, Mataji.
Sure, okay, the family is watching a movie, so yeah. Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, what is the situation of one who does not follow the principles of scripture, but worships according to his own imagination? Is he in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance?" What do you think? Hare Krishna. What do you think we must do? What is your own gathering, or what is your own understanding of devotion in all these chapters that we have done so far together? Of course, the Lord.
Mataji, Hare Krishna, Mataji. What I believe is like performing devotional activities, we should follow certain rules and regulations given by our scriptures. That's what I believe.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. So let's see how it goes. Okay. So the Bhagavan says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Satvika Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrunu. He says, the Supreme Lord said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of 3 kinds. It can either be of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Now hear about these. So see, again and again he says hearing. Hearing is given such a great importance in our scriptures. Hearing, thinking, and also engaging in devotional services, and also activities that will help us to kind of talk about these great these scriptures with in the association of devotees is the only way that we can actually keep ourselves engaged in bhakti. Today, in fact, I was attending a class where we were studying the 5th chapter, which of course we have already covered, which is karma sannyasa yoga. Ultimately, if we don't have that purity in our heart, that consciousness is not pure, it will not really help us to kind of keep that mind in control. So that purity of consciousness comes by engaging the mind and all the sense organs in things that will help us to kind of be on the path of bhakti. Bhakti does not happen overnight. Bhakti is a steady process that needs to be kept upon, just as the way a marathon runner keeps himself or herself fit to stay on the course of their journey. Which is, of course, is not something they just do it once in a while. Marathon is always something that keeps happening, and there's no age that is assigned to marathoners, right? So bhakti similarly is a marathon. We have to really take care of everything that we are doing with respect to keeping that fitness. One keeps the fitness of the body, but how do you keep the fitness of the mind? So that is what we are going to study today. And so the Lord says that each one of them will kind of take to paths that depends on the kind of gunas that is predominant in them. Remember, I told you all these gunas are present in all of us, and the quotient in which one guna is higher over the other 2 gunas kind of becomes representative of the guna present in you. So here he talks about a karmi. A karmi is predominantly a person in the rajasic mode, and he's completely engaged in karma. And as long as his desires also help the larger goodness and welfare of society, he will definitely also attain moksha, but the moksha will be more in those kind of higher realms, which again are impermanent. Because remember, there are different planetary systems. They are the higher planetary system, we are in the middle, and then they're the lower planetary system. So definitely they, because of the kind of things that they do, which also not only helps them to kind of take their own interests forward, but also by taking their interests forward, if they're able to kind of do good to others, it still is not bad. But however, it is not going to give them that permanent exit from material realm. They will have to come back to it as and when the srishti keeps coming up now and then. Then a jnani, he's predominantly in the state of goodness. Remember, jnani is a person who's highly philosophical. He has a philosophical bent of mind. He is someone who goes after knowledge, and for him, jnana is what helps him to kind of engage in his mukti. And for him, it is more about not the devotional service to Krishna, but it's to that Brahman, that all-pervasive void that is there, which is called the Brahman. See, the God can be realized. We studied in the very first chapter itself. God can be realized in three ways. One is the Brahman, the all-pervasive, all-pervading, the Supreme Brahman, the Parabrahman, and then the Paramatma who's there in each one of us, and then Lord Bhagavan, the Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the Shama Sundara form, who came with all his full energies upon this earth. So therefore, that the Bhagavan form of worship gives us a lot of rasa. There's a lot of rasa in that. You can engage in activities, and it helps you. It gives you that, the feeling of mirth, that ecstasy, that bliss, which you will not get in something which is just void and space and things like that. Because we are social animals. Remember, I've always said this before. We are social animals, and we need engagement. We need to engage all our senses actively. So such a person, his focus is the Brahman, and he will attain the Brahman. And that space, it's just void. It's not really getting to the real core of the destination of bhakti. Then you have Shuddha Sattva Bhakti. Shuddha Sattva Bhakti is one where the person is completely a Nishkama Karmi. Nishkama Karmi does everything for Krishna. He knows everything belongs to Krishna and everything is Krishna, and therefore he centers all his activities around Krishna. And that is what is Prema. Prema means those are the rasas. Those are the rasas which really help us to kind of constantly engage in activities that will help us to reach the supreme abode of the Lord. Okay. Now, 17.3, he says, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. We will read that in the subsequent verses. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. So definitely our gunas are going to decide how our faith is going to be, and what is it that will really be helpful for us to kind of engage in activities of higher order. And also it will also, now that you've understood the divine and the demonic natures and all the divine qualities that are required to acquire knowledge and everything, you probably, by way of doing that regular self introspection, you can engage in activities that will help you to kind of move from the gunas where you are predominant to the higher gunas. So I'm sure none of us who are present here are tamaguna. We are probably rajasic. Probably there's a lot of rajas in us, and maybe some sattva. So we have to see how is it that we can reduce the qualities of rajas and increase the sattva, and also see how you can make the sattva to a shuddha sattva. Okay. 17.4, he says, Yajante satvika devan yaksha rakshamsi rajasah pretan bhutan ghanamscha chanya yajante tamasa janah. Somebody wants to read this translation?
Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. Those in mode of passion worship the demons. And those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. These are people who are the mode of goodness, and they worship the demigods because I told you, we read it in the previous chapters. For them, it is about ensuring that they are in good stead in the activity that they are engaged in. Suppose I am a business person. I obviously need wealth. I obviously need my business to run well. So I will look upon Mata Lakshmi. Or maybe suppose say I am someone who's more in the academic field. I will look at Mata Saraswati. I will ensure, I'll pray to the Lord so that Lord gives me, the goddess gives me enough Shakti to retain and also to kind of continuously keep my journey of learning. So such people will kind of obviously take to worships that will help them to strengthen that particular activity that they are in. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons, which means for them it is only about just getting their work done. Such people, they go to any extent of worshipping anybody which helps them to get that, which means even if they have to worship a human, they will do that human worship. If you have to worship your boss, you will do that because you know that you have to get your promotion. You know you have to get a good rating. You know you need his blessing to make sure that everything goes well for you in the organization. And similarly, in the political field, each one will go fall at each other's feet just to ensure they keep their gatti in place. This is called worshipping of demons. It's not literally you go after a demon, a Hiranyakashipu or somebody. Maybe some people will also call upon them, Ravan and everybody else. That's a different thing. But here in the Kali Yuga, demon worship means worshipping another person from whom you need some benefit. And those in the mode of ignorance, completely they're ignorant. Remember, we talked about the 4 different kinds of impious people. Do you remember the 4 impious people? The 4 impious people are Muda, Nara Adama, Maya Paharta, and Asuram Bhava. So these are literally people who probably are Mudas. They don't know anything. And they kind of, look upon, they do things, they believe in black magic and they believe in, worshipping of spirits and stuff like that, because they feel that is what is going to help them to, stay floating in this material world. Okay. So I'm sure you've seen all these kind of worships. I'm sure this rings a bell. Correct? These are kind of things that happen in villages. I think even now, in deep villages, you'll find a lot of people engaging in worships of kinds which are very bizarre. That 17.5 and 6, he says, those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride, ego, lust and attachment, who are impelled by passion and who torture their body organs as well as the supreme soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. So nowhere in our scriptures is asking us to kind of undergo rigorous forms of austerities or rigorous forms of methodologies of worship, which actually inflicts lots of pain and injury upon the body and as well as on the various organs. So please make sure whatever you can do it within the limits that is possible by your body type. Understand your body type and get to doing activities. Not these kind of activities which we have put up for you in the picture. These are just to show all these kind of demonic ideas that people have, that they call this as worship. You've seen people piercing their cheeks and piercing their body type, their body skins and stuff like that. There are people who walk on fire. These are not the things that are there in the scriptures. I don't know from where these were invented. So that's not what the Lord is asking you. We have a soul. Our soul is that eternal part of that Supreme Lord. And along with the soul, we also have the super soul who resides in us. So what right do we have, or who has given us the kind of, the permission to hurt this body, which actually embodies the Jivatma and the Paramatma? So it's very clear from this, all those kinds of things that people do are just gimmickry and actually leads to nothing, but just, it leads to more misery and distress, because you have to run to the hospital after that to kind of, to get yourself treated and stuff like that. And I don't know whether people enjoy. See, devotion is something that you enjoy. It leads you to it gives you ecstasy. It leads you because it's blissful. It's joyful. It gives you energy. It kind of heightens up the positivity. Right? And any other form which doesn't give you that positive energy just cannot be devotion. It has to be something very, very undesirable, which is unhealthy and doesn't yield any result, and therefore you will feel there's no God, and ultimately you do things which are unnecessary and unfruitful, and then we put the blame on God, right? Can someone read this verse? Hare Krishna.
Foods in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such nourishing foods are sweet, juicy, flattening, and palatable. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, and pungent, dry, and hot are liked by people in mode of passion. Such food cause pain, distress, and disease. Food cooked more than 3 hours before being eaten, which is tasteless, stale, putrid, decomposed, and unclean, is food liked by people in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm sure this was very self-explanatory, but I'll just tell you. Foods in the mode of goodness. These are the sattvic kind of foods, which are less on spices, which are just absolutely balanced with respect to every element of spices and ingredients that you use in them. Kind of is well balanced, and you feel nice. You don't feel heavy after you have a sattvic khana. A sattvic khana, which is typically that we serve in all our ISKCON temples as prasadam, is something that doesn't have garlic and onions. It is very healthy. It is very tastefully made. It's always made, fresh. And therefore, all the prasadams that you get in the ISKCON facilities are all fresh, and you really feel nice when you have the prasadam. You really feel heavenly. See, when you go to the altar and stand before the altar, it gives you a great level of that happiness. The same happiness is what you get. You kind of experience when you have the prasadam in any of these temples. You must have noticed, even any prasadam that you have in any temple, however modest and however simple it might be, it feels heavenly. It gives you that, that it leaves you wanting more, right? But of course, they give you only little as prasadam, right? But it leaves you wanting more, because one is the people who made it, they made it for the God. And therefore, there is complete affection and love that has gone into it. And not only that, the ingredients that are used are fresh. B. And C, it is also that the way you cook it, that also matters. It's completely sattvic, devoid of garlic and onion. Garlic and onion leaves a taste which lingers for a long time, and it also doesn't give you, people use mouth fresheners and stuff like that. Why do you have to put such distress on yourself? Eat food which will make you feel fresh. Eat food which will give you that feeling of completeness. So at any given point in time, we must see how much of sattvikata we can bring into our food, because what you eat is what you ultimately will be in terms of your behavior as well. Try it out. Try a sattvic khana for a month, and then do an unsattvic khana, whatever khana you have at your home, try that for another month, and then see the difference and decide for yourself what khana is better, what food kind is better. And then he talks about, he says, typically people who are in the mode of goodness, they just eat to maintain their body. So there's a difference between eating and dwelling to only to eat. So you don't live to eat. You eat to live. Living to eat and eating to live are two different things. So we need to see which part of the fence we want to be. And then he says foods that are bitter. You try it out. Bitter fruit, salty food. Salt anyway is not good for health. Pungent. Anything which is too hot and spicy. They are liked by people. All these pizzas and all that you get outside. Buy one, get one free. Why won't he say that? Because what is there in that? You pay 200 rupees for a pizza, 100 rupees for a pizza. What is it? Is it worth that much? It is white flour at the end of the day. We in the moment we see an ad, buy one, get one free, we go after it. All these Cheetos and all, I think Kurkure, buy one, get one free. What for them? Because what is there? Nothing is there. It's only hard. So it's only, filthy poison that is there, which is going to, wreck up your system. So such foods, they cause pain, distress, and disease. They're not good because it's not meant for the body. The body needs the human body needs very, very, very basic foods. We are not animals. We don't need to eat flesh to keep our body alive, right? Even there are great sports people who are vegans and vegetarians these days and are doing so well. So think for yourself on, which side of, which side you want to be. The third one is people who eat all these kind of stale food, keep it in the fridge for many days, heat it, and these days, there's microwaves available, heat it, reheat it, keep eating. What do you get? The nutrients are all dead. And you can also not see all the various, probably all the various organisms that are growing in them. This is probably something they're showing in cheese. Okay, if you keep it for too long, you're going to see all kinds of, things growing in it. So do we want to kind of, put such things as it is? We are living in a polluted world. On top of that, we also want to put in more pollution into our organs. So think about it. So great. Our scriptures are just simply awesome. Hare Krishna. 17.11 of sacrifice. He's going to talk about, he's spoken about the foods. Now he's going to talk about sacrifices. Sacrifices are what you kind of do, what you kind of give away. What is it that you remember the last verses they've spoken about simple living, high thinking, right? So simple living means you need to have some basics, and anything which is over and above that is actually a burden. So here's going to talk about various sacrifice. Of sacrifices, that sacrifice performed according to duty and to scriptural rules and with no expectation of rewards is the nature of goodness. This is the person who does it without actually any expectation. You're doing it because everything is Krishna. And when you kind of completely have Krishna, before everything, automatically your sacrifices or whatever you do, whatever you kind of, achieve, everything will turn out, very, very well, because there's no expectation. You don't have that expectation of the doership. You don't have that, that hold of that ahankaram. When there is no ahankaram, the body feels light. Then that sacrifice performed for some material or benefit or performed ostentatiously out of pride is of the nature of passion. O chief of the Bharatas. So anyone, when you do any kind of, dhanam, any kind of charity or any kind of support, which is predominantly out of your own ahankaram to show off your wealth and and you want to kind of just show that you're highly generous kind of a thing, is out of the nature of passion. So many industrialists. I don't want to name this industrialist. He's a fugitive. I know the kind of things he used to do for Tirupati temple. And it seems once he made, a crown for Lord Balaji, weighing several kilos of gold, and as well as, bedecked with, all kinds of precious stones, diamonds and emeralds and rubies. That crown could never be put on Balaji, because, by the time they carried it, it developed a crack. Anything that is not complete is never given, is never offered to the Lord. Okay, that is what a scripture says. It has to be in a complete. It should be without any kind of contamination or adulteration, or it shouldn't have any kind of breaks and stuff like that. So God Himself will not accept very many. You see the hundis, and the hundi means what do you call it? The money box in all these temples. Sometimes they just put all kinds of all their money, which they don't want. They go and put. They think, okay, fine, I don't want to keep it to my friend. The income tax fellow will come, so let me go and put it. Do you think that is going to fetch you anything? No. So these are the people who are in the mode of rajas, and I would call them also in the mode of ignorance as well. It doesn't fetch you anything, right? So whatever you do, keep what you need, but just give away what is excess in you. That is real sacrifice. And he says, and that sacrifice performed in defiance of the scriptural injunctions. Anything which is vikarma, anything which you do, you kind of rob somebody and go and put it in the hundi, is not really beneficial. In which no spiritual food is distributed, no hymns are chanted, no remunerations are made to the priest, which is faithless. That sacrifice is of the nature of ignorance. There are several people who do large homas in their house. They kind of do it everything because it's a bit showy kind of thing. But ultimately, when it has to come to, making sure that you're taking care of your guests, making sure that, that you have done everything as per the vidhi, and also ensuring that you also pay the brahmana who comes, helps you out with everything. Such people, that time they will go spend huge money, sitting in a 5-star hotel and, having coffee for 500 rupees, 1,000 rupees, and God knows how much more. But when it comes to kind of making the right kind of allocations for the real people who are engaged and supporting us in such activities, such people are in the mode of ignorance. So here he says, he's talking about austerity. Austerity means discipline. Now, Deva Dvija Guru Prajna, Pujanam, Saucham, Arjavam, Brahmacharyam, Ahimsacha, Shariram, Tapa Uchyate. The austerity of the body consists in this: worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, the superiors like father and mother, cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence are also the austerities of the body. So austerity of the body means the discipline that we kind of build in ourselves, the discipline, the habits. The good habits are respecting someone who are elder to us. People like the Brahmanas. Brahmanas here means, I'm talking about not the kind of definition that is assigned today to Brahmanas. Anyone who wears a thread doesn't become a Brahmana. You need to live the life of a Brahmana. You need to really have those qualifications which are there in the Vedas, which says who a Brahmana is. Such is the Brahmana that we are talking about. The spiritual master, a master who is helping us to kind of look beyond us. So we have to be very careful. There are very few spiritual masters who are really, the Nishkama, who belong to the Shuddha Sattva clan. So we have to be very careful. Gone are the days when they were really those great souls that existed. Today we have none. All of them are showy. And superiors like father and our parents. We need to really, this shows like we have to be respectful of people who show us the path to goodness. And along with that, the Lord has spoken at length on, cleanliness of the body and mind. He's spoken about simplicity, celibacy, keeping ourselves in control. Be in control of everything. All the desires should be well within limits. If it is carried beyond the limits, it becomes an intoxication, an addiction, and then you become a servant to that addiction, and you currently you sway away from the devotional path or the path of goodness. And non-violence. Don't unnecessarily engage in activities that is going to be regrettable. So he says these are also good disciplines for the body. 17.15 Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayaya abhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. So here he's talking about austerity. There he spoke about austerity of the body and austerity of our habits with respect to the things that we must do, which is basically about respecting the elders, and also having habits that will make us respectable in our society. Here he is talking about austerity of the speech. Consists in speaking truthfully, beneficially, and in avoiding speech that offends. One should also recite the Vedas regularly. Now, in one class, when Prabhuji was talking about, a conversation that happened between the tongue and the teeth. So the teeth, I believe, told the tongue, hey, look, I am 32 in number. I can chew you away and cut you to pieces. So I believe the tongue said, okay, fine, that's all right. But remember, if there is anything that I say which is not right, then remember, there will be people will smash up all your teeth. Yeah. So therefore, how we speak, the choice of our words is very important. I think all the languages are beautiful. We must learn to use the words very carefully, so that we are not kind of saying anything which is, something which you drop out of your hand. I'm sure the elders must have said this to all of you. When you drop something off your hand, you can always pick it up. But when words are hurled at somebody, you can't pick it up, because what is gone is gone. Even a stone that is hurled, You can go say sorry. Once the pain eases, the person probably may want to forgive you. But words, they constantly keep reminding you of things that even if you want to forget, it keeps flashing in. That's the power of words. So we have to be very careful. Choice of our words and the kind of words we use are very important. And the tone also. The tone in which we speak also matters a lot. I don't know if Hiya Mataji is here. Hiya Mataji, are you there? Is Hiya Mataji there? Hiya
Yes,
Mataji, Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Hiya Mataji, I think I got to know of her yesterday. She says she's a pediatrician. And she also comes and recites, participates in the recitation of the shlokas before the classes. What a wonderful, tone she has. It is so mellifluous, so mellifluous. I think it's, she's blessed, I must say, naturally blessed. I'm sure the children will just love you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for saying to me in so kind eyes.
So
Thank
nice,
you.
so nice. I'm sure you will get to becoming a wonderful, you'll be the most wanted pediatrician by all parents, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, austerity of speech is not only the choice of words, but it's also the tone. The tone also matters a lot. Sometimes you may say something very nice, but if the tone is not nice, then, the word, whatever you said will not really have any effect or value. And if you want to really know how not to speak and how not to use certain words, you must watch our TV. Once in a while, watch the TV. You will know what are the things that you will just want to avoid. The way some of our leaders speak today, the way the journalists and all, kind of engage in conversation. It's really, really very sad. Anyway, so, and one should also recite the Vedas. Vedas means, for us, we have the Bhagavad Gita, we have the Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's be in touch with all of them regularly, because they will, even if we forget, they will remind us. It'll be like the Ghanti. Ghanti bajti rahegi. We need somebody to keep ringing the bell. And who can ring the bell better than the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam? So always have a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. And I think Prabhupada, in his in this Bhagavad Gita as it is, he's made it so simple. I don't think any of the Gita, details or the books that are available in the market, the shelves, are as simple as what Prabhupada has made it to be. So attend a few classes, like this, go to level 2, level 3, and then, keep in touch with that. That will help you. Automatically, you'll develop a taste. Once you kind of, progress, you will develop a taste, and then you will be able to be on your own. And every time you read it, trust me, you will get a new understanding. Because your maturity also goes up. No? So the way you look at it also will change. 17.16, and serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of thought are the austerities of the mind. So I don't think, he has emphasized enough. He's kind of making sure that he's going to leave us with these thoughts. He says serenity. We need to be calm at all times. Simplicity, gravity, being centered, being balanced, self-control, self-control of our senses and as well as the mind, and purity of thought. Automatically, if these are there, your purity, the thoughts will be pure. Other austerities of the mind. So he gave us the austerities of the body, austerities of speech, and austerities of the mind. Okay. Now 17.17. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapas tat trividam naraiha afalam kankshibir yuktaihi satvikam parichakshate. This threefold austerity practiced by men whose aim is not to benefit themselves materially, but to please the Supreme, is of the nature of goodness. Of course, all these parikramas are very nice. They kind of, make you feel so humble, because everybody has to walk barefoot. And then, the circumambulation that you do is really, it puts a test on your body. So therefore, just doing these alone will not help. You also need to engage as if you're doing this parikrama in every activity in your life every day. Go for these parikramas. It'll teach you what humility, because you're walking with a sea of humanity, people from all walks of life. It makes you. You will just realize, how how we are all the same. We are not different from each other at all. Everyone who walk there all have one thing in their mind, that is to kind of increase their love for God. Our scriptures are all about God loving us. It's not about God fearing. Our religion does not prescribe to fear God. भगवान के भगवान से डरो. No, भगवान से डरने की जरूरत नहीं है. भगवान से प्यार करो, ऑटोमेटिकली आपकी डर दूर हो जाएगी. So सत्कार मन पूजर्थम तपो ढाम्बेन चैव यत् क्रियते तत् इहा प्रोक्तम राजसम chalam adruvam. It means those ostentatious penances and austerities which are performed in order to gain respect, honor, reverence are said to be in the mode of passion. Anything which you do which is ultimately to benefit yourself is mode of passion and also a bit of ignorance. They are neither stable nor permanent, because you honor and dishonor, goodness and pain, and they always are going to come one by one. So none of them are going to be permanent. So what are you hankering for? 17.1. Mooda grahanatmanah yat pidaya kriyate tapah parasyot sadhanartam va tat tamasam udahartam. And those penances and austerities which are performed foolishly by means of obstinate self-torture or to destroy or injure others are said to be the mode of ignorance. So 17.20, that gift which is given out, is going to talk about duties. That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectation of return is considered to be charity. So he spoke about what? He spoke about foods, he spoke about austerity, he's going to talk about charities in the next 3 verses. That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectation of return is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. That's why in ISKCON, Prabhupada made it very clear that we must kind of spread the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and our scriptures, because it's all about helping people to alleviate themselves from the miseries of the material world or the distractions that we have in the material world. So therefore, anything we do should be given to the right person, to the right people and the right place. Don't do charity out of context. Don't do charity because there's an election. You'll see many of these politicians, there's an election round the corner, they start giving away things. They give some saris, they give some grains, they give some bags of, that's what they do, at least in this part of the country where I stay. All our house help and our people who come for our building support, all our support staff, all of them will be missing most of the days when elections are coming, because all of them would be going to different places to collect various goodies that are being distributed. So nobody would come. So such things are not really, that's not charity. Charity should be given to the real needy, someone who needs education, someone who is doing good work, such as these institutions as ISKCON, which are helping people to kind of to become God conscious and thereby bring improvisation in their own lives and also others' lives. So such are the things that we must engage in. So that's what he's saying. So this is anything which you do at the right time, to the right place, to the right person is mode of goodness. So whenever you're giving charity, ensure that you are checking the authenticity and the validity of the person who's receiving the charity. Because only if they are worthy of the charity really will mean something in terms of your own benefits. If you do for an unworthy cause and call it charity, it is not going to be, because you're actually doing something which is not going to be good, which is actually going to spread in more negativity, or which is going to spread in more, more kind of things that are going to be harmful for the society. We have n number of NGOs these days. So many. I think anyone can start an NGO these days. I receive so many calls, at least 2 calls a day, saying, "Oh, we are calling you from blind school. Oh, we are calling you from that school. Please give us charity." So you have to be careful. Whenever you're giving charity, ensure that the person is really worthy of it. Otherwise, your money just goes to the drain. So 17.21. Yattu pratyupakakrartam phalam uddishya va punah Diyate cha pariklistam tad danam rajasam smritam. I'm sure this picture is ringing a lot of bells for you because, we just crossed COVID, and how many people gave bags of rice and, some things to people and were posting selfies, even on professional, platforms like LinkedIn, and then of course social platforms like Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. So charity performed with expectation of some return or with a desire for fruitful results or in a grudging mode is said to be charity in the mode of passion. Sometimes you give, you don't want to give, you just give it because they're coming and asking us, let me just give it. So that is definitely not in good stead. It's supposed to be in the mode of passion. Okay. 17.22 Adesha kale yat danam apatrebhyascha diyate asatritam avajnatam tat tamasam udahartam. That charity performed at an improper place and time and given to unworthy persons without respect and contempt and with contempt is charity in the mode of goodness. Given without respect. One is given without respect, or given to there are three things. Given to unworthy persons. These are people who want to smoke weed. You'll find several people, on the road. Probably they'll be close to places which are selling, alcohol. And if you think, you want to give charity to somebody that day and you give him money, straight he'll go and then he's going to harm himself further. So giving charity to unworthy persons without respect and with contempt. Contempt is, you don't want to give it, you're just giving it because that person is coming and asking. One day I remember I had gone to a roadside restaurant with a colleague, office colleague. And as we were just ordering, there was a little girl who came. And my friend, she took her order and she just threw it to that little girl. Okay, it was contempt. I said, why did you do that? She said, I hate people, who come and ask me for food when I'm having my own food. That's not charity. That's really not charity. If you want to give it with respect. The food that we eat is the same thing that they will also eat. Ultimately, when the food, once it goes down the throat, the same process happens inside the body. Right? It's not a different process that happens to someone who's a beggar and someone who's different, right? So whatever we do anytime, we must do it with respect. If you don't have the respect for that activity, please don't engage in that activity. So this is definitely a tamaguna. Only a tamaguna person, a person who's absolutely does not understand the purpose behind life and also doesn't understand the real aspect of humanity, is a person who's going to do something like that. Even all these kind of charities that all our people do before election, that is with contempt. They're doing it. Arey yaar, mere ko vote de do. 5 saal ke liye mera, my seat is reserved. That is all a mode of ignorance. Actually, there's a very thin line between rajas and tama. So they often say that the chances of moving from a rajas to tama is very high, as high as from a sattva to a rajas. So therefore, we have to constantly be very, very careful how we stand and which platform we are. So in 17.23, he says, from the beginning of creation, the 3 syllables Om Tat Sat have been used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. Om is that vibration. The entire creation is from that vibration. And I'm sure those of you who are science students can read about the string theory and how the string theory, there are a lot of people, a lot of intellectuals who've also written great articles on Om and the vibration that the string theory talks about. So Om Tat Sat have been used to indicate the supreme absolute truth, Brahman. They were uttered by the Brahmanas while chanting the Vedic hymns and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Om is the supreme vibration by which the creation and the creation of all the universes and all the living entities come about. And Tat is that. So Sat is bliss. So Om Tat Sat means it is that supreme Brahman who is the ultimate bliss and who is that supreme person who is responsible for our living and as well as for our existence. That is Om Tat Sat. That supreme Brahman. So they all our Vedic mantras, you must have noticed, starts with Om. Om Narayanaya, Om Vishnu, Om Vishnu. Give me a mantra, ma. Om Vishnuve, Om Narayanaya, everything starts with Om, right? And finally, after they finish reading that entire shloka, they say Om Tat Sat. Om means everything is that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. 17.24. Thus the transcendentalists undertake sacrifice. Transcendental people who are crossing these three gunas undertake sacrifices, charities, and penances, beginning always with Om to attain the Supreme. Then Om means Vishnu. It is placed at the beginning of the Vedic hymns to indicate the supreme goal. Our ultimate goal is ultimately to get to that supreme abode of the Lord, who is the Paramatma, who is the Parabrahman, who is the Purushottama. 17.25. One should perform sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word that. Tat. That means that. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from the material entanglement. The moment you say, all that I'm doing is for that supreme personality, that itself gives you that freedom, or it kind of, debonds you. It gives you that, that it makes you lighter because you're doing everything for that supreme Lord. Tat Tattvamasi means thou art that. We are also Brahman because we are also from that eternal supreme Lord. The only thing is we are Anu Atma. The supreme personality is supreme Brahman. He is Parabrahman. Tat describes detached work for the sake of liberation. These activities are done with disregard for material results. So whoever really is, wanting to increase the quotient of love for God and detachment from material desires, should try at the end of the day, when you finish your work, just say Om Tat Sat. Makes you free, because whatever you did it for that supreme personality of Godhead. 17.26 and 7. The absolute truth is the objective of devotional service, and it is indicated by the word Sat. Sat is absolute truth. Anything which is not truth is asat. These works of sacrifice, of penance, of charity, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the Supreme Person, O son of Pritha. Sat eva saumya. It means, Sat means eternal. Activities done for the service of the Lord reveal the true spiritual nature. In such activity, the performer of actions becomes eternal. The activities are aimed at the eternal, and the benefits of the activities are eternal. Okay? Because there's no ego involved, and there's no kind of attachment there. So wherever there's no attachment, that is supposed to be eternal. And that is, why is it eternal? Because it's Brahman is eternal, and Brahman is bliss. 17.28. But sacrifices and austerities and charities performed without faith in the Supreme are non-permanent. Anything which you do for yourself is non-permanent. Anything you do for Krishna is permanent. O son of Pritha, regardless of whatever rites are performed, however big, however gigantic, however wealthy these things might be, they will carry no water. They are called asat. It is impermanent. It is not the truth. It is not something that will deliver you, and are useless both in this life and the next. So he's confirming that there is life next for us. So we have to see whether we want to come back into the circle of Punarapi Janam and Punarapi Jananam and Punarapi Maranam, or get away from this cycle of Janma and Marana. So this is the chapter summary. Arjuna inquired about worship, and the Lord answered it all, leaning back to the three gunas, and he spoke about the foods of the three types of people in the gunas, the sacrifices in the three modes, the austerity and charity in the three modes. And finally, he said, whoever does all their activities starting with Om and finally surrendering to the Lord with Om Tat Sat is actually the person who has understood, and he is a true transcendentalist. So with that, we complete chapter 17. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow is the last chapter. It is chapter 18. Okay. It is a conclusion, and it has 78 verses. So I will start on time, and we may extend a little bit, 5 or 10 minutes. So please come with some extra time on hand. And it'll be interesting because it'll give you a complete summary of all that we studied in the last 17 chapters. Okay. Hare Krishna. Any questions, please? Yes, Bhamani Shankarji, you want to ask us whatever, it doesn't matter. Can I have your Oh, sure, Prabhuji. Sure. Done. Actually, we're not supposed to, but I'll give you. There you are. Bhavani Shankarji, are you there?
Mataji, actually, I'm facing some mic issues.
I know there is some issue. I'll post it for you tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. If no questions, then shall I end this class? Because I have to rush into another class. Okay. Thank you so much.
Mataji, I just wanted to ask you, like have you spoken with Prabhuji regarding the visit or something?
No. I see. I have a class with him tomorrow. I also have to constantly keep studying. No, so I have a class tomorrow. He conducts the class, so I will definitely speak to him.
Sure, Mataji.
With all this Janmashtami and all, and he's also building a very big temple in Mangalore. It's a beautiful temple that's coming up in Mangalore. Okay, so he's busy with that. I'll catch up with him tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So Bhavani Shankarji is asking this because there is a yatra coming up in October. All the devotees are going to Puri Jagannath. So Bhavani Shankarji lives in Bhubaneswar and he wants to go and catch up with all our devotee friends there. And if any of you want to also go on this yatra, please get in touch with your admin. They will share with you all the details. It is very, very very optimally priced, very affordable. So just check it, make use of it, and visit Puri Jagannath Yatra with your family and friends. Okay, you'll feel very safe and you'll be well taken care of. All your food needs and your lodging and boarding, everything is taken care of. Okay, and it's very nominally priced. So Hare Krishna. With your permission, can I end this class? Everybody? May I?
Very smart.
Okay, Hare Krishna. We'll meet tomorrow, chapter 18. So, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha